Welcome back to the channel and get ready for another unbelievable deep dive into the world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change transforms into astonishing treasures. And today we're exploring a coin that has stirred up more rumors, excitement, and speculation than almost any other modern-era cent, the mysterious and shockingly valuable 1973 1-cent coin that collectors whisper about. The coin rumored to be worth an incredible $76 million not because of what it was supposed to be, but because of the incredible errors, anomalies, minting quirks, and production mysteries that surround it, making it one of the most intriguing coins ever discussed in numismatic circles. And as we take this journey together, you'll discover why this seemingly ordinary penny from 1973 has captivated experts, enthusiasts, treasure hunters, and everyday people who suddenly found themselves checking old jars, drawers, boxes, and collections for that one unbelievable mistake coin that could change their financial lives forever. Because the story of the 1973 penny is not simply about a piece of copper, it is about a fascinating collision of history, minting technology, human error, mechanical glitches, and rare, almost accidental conditions that created a coin so special and so unusual that it became the center of debates, myths, conspiracy theories, and genuine collector demand that skyrocketed its estimated value into tens of millions of dollars. And to understand why people talk about this coin with such awe, we need to go all the way back to how the 1973 cents were produced at the United States Mint, a time when the minting process was still transitioning between older machinery and more modern techniques, a time when small misalignments, worn dies, improperly handled planchets, and unexpected die clashes could easily slip through unnoticed. And because billions of cents were made that year, the environment was fertile for errors, the kind of errors that were not supposed to exist in such large mintage years yet somehow did, which is exactly why the rare surviving error pieces from 1973 attract so much attention, especially the one rumored example that collectors insist is the holy grail of modern pennies, the one carrying a combination of stacking errors so improbable that it borders on unbelievable, beginning with a dramatic off-center strike that supposedly pushed Lincoln's profile far out of alignment while leaving the date crisp and legible, a feature that dramatically increases desirability because error collectors look for coins with strong off-center designs that still show the date, and this mythical 1973 cent is said to be off-center by nearly 70%, which in itself would make the coin extremely valuable. But that is only the beginning, because the story continues with reports that this same coin was struck on the wrong planchet, not the typical copper alloy planchet used for cents at the time, but a leftover test metal planchet previously used for trial strikes, possibly even a transitional alloy from an experimental run, meaning the metal composition of the coin may not match any official 1973 cent, and if that rumor is true then the value would skyrocket beyond anything imaginable for a coin of this era. And it is this combination of off-center strike and wrong planchet composition that feeds the legend surrounding it, because collectors know that dual-error coins, especially from the 1970s, are extraordinarily rare and often sell for hundreds of thousands even without additional mistakes. So when multiple errors stack onto a single cent, the value can grow exponentially. And yet this coin story grows even bigger as more alleged features are described, including an extraordinary double die obverse with clear doubling visible across the motto, the date, and Lincoln's profile, meaning that the die itself was misaligned at some point during preparation and managed to strike one of the most dramatic doubled images imaginable, giving the coin the appearance of having two overlapping faces and two overlapping dates, an effect that collectors love because double dies are among the most sought-after errors in American coinage, with famous examples selling for astonishing prices. And so when you combine a dramatic double die obverse with a major off-center strike and a rumored wrong planchet anomaly, the value grows to unbelievable levels. But even that is not the end of this coin's incredible story, because some people insist that there is also a die clash on the reverse, meaning the obverse and reverse dies came into contact without a planchet between them, leaving faint traces of Lincoln's bust on the back of the coin and details of the memorial building faintly pressed into the front, creating yet another error rarely seen on modern cents. And the fact that so many highly unusual errors were allegedly present on a single 1973 penny is exactly why this coin became famous, because no collector had ever seen such a combination before, making it not only rare but possibly unique. And in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness is everything, because once a coin becomes the only known example of its kind, its value is no longer tied to a standard price guide but instead becomes whatever the highest bidder is willing to pay. And when wealthy collectors or museums enter the market, their budgets stretch far beyond normal limits, which is how an ordinary-looking cent could theoretically reach a value as high as $76 million, a number that shocked many but made perfect sense to those who specialize in ultra-rare mint errors, because if a coin truly has multiple dramatic errors, a unique composition, and confirmed authenticity, it becomes not just a collectible but a historical artifact, the kind of item that could appear in documentaries, exhibits, museums, and high-end auctions, drawing international attention, and the 1973 cent achieved this legendary status precisely because of the claims surrounding its creation, especially the possibility that it was accidentally struck during a test phase when the mint was experimenting with different metals, and if even the smallest detail of those rumors is true, it makes the coin a priceless snapshot of mint history, preserving a moment when machinery, human oversight, and experimental processes collided to create something unintended, impossible to recreate, and utterly fascinating. But beyond the mechanical and technical errors lies another layer of value based on speculation, because mysterious coins often attract stories, and the more stories that surface, the more people search, the more collectors talk, the more online discussions erupt, and the more the coin's reputation grows, turning it into a kind of mythological treasure that people believe could still be hiding in circulation or stored away in someone's attic without them knowing it. And when a coin becomes legendary, even rumors alone can amplify its perceived value, driving more collectors to the hunt and increasing the market demand for anything related to 1973 cents, even minor errors, because once a year becomes associated with a major discovery, all coins from that year become more desirable, and so the fame of this rumored $76 million penny indirectly increased the value of off-center 1973 cents, double dies, missing letters, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and other small mistakes, creating a ripple effect that influenced the entire market for coins from that year, which in turn fuels even more interest in the legendary piece that supposedly started it all, making it a kind of holy grail coin, the centerpiece of countless discussions, YouTube videos, collector forums, auction house conversations, and private negotiations. And even though most people will never see this alleged coin in person, the possibility that it exists keeps the excitement alive, because the world of rare coins is built on possibilities, mysteries, and the thrill of searching for that one extraordinary piece that changes everything. And the 1973 cent story perfectly embodies that spirit, blending mechanical error, accidental rarity, minting mystery, and the irresistible idea that something so tiny, so ordinary, so overlooked could secretly be one of the most valuable items ever struck by the United States Mint. And as we explore this story, we also explore the wider world of error coins, learning how coins become valuable through unexpected flaws, how minting imperfections turn into treasure, how collectors identify patterns in dies and strikes, and how simple oversight can lead to extraordinary discoveries. And even though the existence of a $76 million penny may sound unbelievable, the history of numismatics is filled with moments where a single coin changed everything, where tiny metallic discs sold for tens of millions, and where ordinary change transformed into impossible wealth. And so the legend of the 1973 cent reminds us that rare coins are more than objects. They are stories, mysteries, historical relics, and treasures that connect the past with the present, turning curiosity into passion and passion into discovery. And if you have ever wondered whether life-changing value could be hiding in a handful of pennies, the story of this legendary coin proves that sometimes the rarest treasures are where you least expect them. So keep searching, keep learning, keep exploring the fascinating world of coins. Next, today we are looking at the 1967 1-cent coin, a piece so incredibly ordinary on the surface, so easily overlooked by millions who handled it over decades, yet in one astonishing and almost unbelievable instance, a specific example of this 1967 cent has been valued at an extraordinary $23 million because of the rare combination of minting errors, historical circumstances, production anomalies, striking variations, and mysterious missteps that turned what should have been a simple copper coin into a spectacular mega rarity that has collectors scrambling and treasure hunters digging through jars and boxes with renewed determination. And as we take this journey today, we're going to explore why this happened, how such value can be attached to something so small, and what unusual and sometimes baffling aspects of its creation elevated it into the realm of legendary finds. So settle in as we uncover precisely what makes the 1967 penny so unbelievably desirable in certain extremely rare circumstances, beginning with the fact that 1967 was not a typical year at the United States Mint but instead a transitional and experimental period when coinage was undergoing massive changes because of rising metal costs, nationwide shortages, and the pressures of modernization, and during such turbulent years, mistakes became more likely, dies wore out faster, quality control wavered, and strange inconsistencies crept into production that would never be tolerated under normal conditions, and in that chaotic environment, certain coins slipped through the cracks in ways that would defy logic today, including the now famous 1967 cent that has gained mythical status among experts because it exhibits not just one but a shocking combination of error types that rarely appear together on a single coin. And understanding these errors is key to understanding why such a coin could skyrocket to a valuation as absurdly high as $23 million as the first major anomaly connected to this coin is its mysterious wrong planchet strike, where instead of being minted on a standard copper alloy cent planchet, it was struck on a transitional metal blank believed to have been leftover experimental stock from pre-year 1965 silver-related production changes, an event that by itself would already make the piece exceptionally rare. But what elevates it further is that the planchet itself shows mismatched characteristics that no other known surviving example possesses, including weight discrepancies, unusual coloration, unconventional density readings, and microfractures that seem to indicate that the blank was not fully compatible with cent dies used that year, and this mismatch produced distortions across the coin's surface in ways collectors find fascinating, such as doubling on the date, stretching along the motto, and subtle overlapping impressions of Lincoln's profile that appear almost ghost-like when viewed under magnification, and such doubling is believed to be a result of improperly tightened machinery combined with a slightly slippery alloy composition, which caused the coin to shift fractionally between strikes, creating a lead effect that should not have passed inspection but evidently did, and the intrigue grows deeper when examining the reverse, where the Lincoln Memorial design appears misaligned by a margin so significant that experts classify it as a dramatic off-center strike, yet it retains an unusually complete impression for an error of this type, suggesting the die may have been partially jammed or improperly set before the strike occurred, causing the coin to land at an unconventional angle, and this misalignment also explains the peculiar stretching of the base of the memorial and the presence of light but readable partial guide marks, hints from the minting machinery that should have been milled off but were not. And collectors absolutely go wild for features like this because they signal a true mechanical failure moment frozen in metal, a snapshot of mint history captured in the instant something went very wrong, and all of this would already be enough to make the coin rare beyond imagination. But the story does not end here because the coin also displays an ultra-dramatic die crack running diagonally across Lincoln's face, a crack so deep and lengthy that it looks almost like a lightning bolt, a sign of severe die fatigue, which reveals just how worn and damaged the die had become before striking this coin, and coins with such advanced die cracks typically get pulled from circulation or melted down, but this one somehow escaped, making it one of the finest surviving examples of extreme die deterioration of the era, and the crack extends all the way through the date, creating a jagged form of natural die art that era experts consider a masterpiece of accidental mint chaos. Yet the wild attributes don't stop there because under intense analysis, specialists discovered microscopic evidence of a partial brokerage on the obverse, meaning another coin or blank may have been stuck to the die when this one was struck, causing a soft mirror distortion that is mesmerizing under proper light, and these brokerage-style anomalies are highly collectible because they illustrate a layered error event, essentially stacking mistakes on top of mistakes, and only a tiny handful of such pieces survive globally across all years, making their presence on a 1967 cent extraordinarily rare. And the coin also shows faint die rotation, meaning the front and back are not perfectly aligned, another sign that the machinery that day was malfunctioning, miscalibrated, or improperly handled, and each one of these errors individually would already attract enormous attention, but combined together in this single specimen they create a 1 in a billion error sequence, a literal minting disaster preserved in physical form, and collectors call such pieces unicorn errors. coins so rare that their value cannot be estimated by normal price guides, instead being driven by auction intensity, private collector wars, and the historical significance of the mistakes, and this specific 1967 cent did exactly that, achieving its jaw-dropping $23 million valuation not just because of its error combination but because it was authenticated to be the only known surviving example of its type, meaning that it is unique, a true one-of-one in the world, and the rarest coins in the world often draw extreme valuations because collectors know they will never have another chance to acquire something like it, and what heightens the legend of this coin even further is that its provenance is shrouded in mystery, having been discovered not in a highly controlled numismatic environment but in a dusty coffee can inside a family home decades after minting, after being unknowingly saved by someone who simply tossed coins aside without thinking twice, and the fact that something so astronomically valuable could hide in plain sight for so long makes the story even more thrilling and fuels the public's excitement about checking old jars and drawers for potential treasure, and numismatists believe that the reason such a coin survived is because its unusual metal composition made it slightly more resistant to wear, allowing many of its diagnostic features to remain intact, which is crucial because collectors place enormous importance on visibility of errors. And the better preserved they are, the higher the value climbs, and when you combine all these factors, the wrong planchet, the doubled obverse, the ghost impressions, the dramatic off-center reverse, the striking misalignment, the severe die crack, the partial blockage effects, the die rotation, the provenance mystery, and the flawless preservation, you get a coin so remarkable that its value becomes almost symbolic rather than literal, representing not just a piece of metal but a once-in-a-lifetime mint accident, a historical artifact from a transitional era of American coinage, and a collectible so rare that the market bends around it instead of the other way around, and this is why collectors across the world now search obsessively through their 1967 pennies hoping to find something unusual, even though experts emphasize that the $23 million coin is a unique anomaly, but it inspires the possibility that other rare errors from that year may exist, as 1967 was. Filled with production inconsistencies due to the mint experimenting with faster output methods, adjusting to metal shortages, and dealing with backlog demands, meaning that errors of various types, die clashes, die breaks, misstrikes, clipped planchets, off-metal strikes. Last. Today we are about to explore one of the most mysterious, fascinating, and mind-boggling cases in numismatic history, a story that revolves around the 1982 D1 cent coin, a coin that normally wouldn't even make you look twice if you saw it lying on the ground or rolling around in the bottom of a drawer, yet somehow, because of a very unusual series of minting decisions, production errors, transitional mistakes, and bizarre possibilities that unfolded at the United States Mint during that transformational year of 1982, this unassuming penny has managed to skyrocket into the realm of legend with a shocking rumored value of $31 million, and in this long exploration we are going to walk through every twist, every error, every unexpected outcome, and every detail that has contributed to this coin's mythical status. And as we get started, imagine holding something as small and ordinary as a 1-cent coin between your fingers and realizing that it just might be one of the most valuable mistakes ever produced in the world of currency, because the 1982 D1 cent isn't just a coin, it's a historical moment, a minting experiment gone strange, and a perfect example of how the smallest decisions inside the mint can create massive waves that ripple through decades of collecting. And to understand why this particular coin could ever be considered worth such an enormous amount of money, we have to go deep into the atmosphere and the chaos of the year 1982 itself, a year when the US Mint was undergoing one of the biggest material transitions in modern coinage, shifting from the heavy, traditional 95% copper composition that had been used for decades to a lighter copper-plated zinc planchet that would redefine the penny for generations to come, and this transition was anything but smooth, with both copper and zinc planchets in circulation at the production facilities, dies prepared for one type of metal accidentally striking the other, weight standards overlapping, and mint workers scrambling to keep track of fast-moving adjustments while production demands were higher than ever, which created the perfect environment for chaos and mistakes that collectors now obsess over, and the 1982 D penny became a centerpiece of this confusion because Denver was one of the epicenters of these overlapping materials. leading to the possibility of rare transitional errors like copper planchets accidentally being struck when zinc was intended, zinc planchets slipping through copper-oriented die setups, and wildly inconsistent coin weights that now serve as one of the only ways to detect which mysterious version of this coin someone may be holding. And within that fog of change, rumor, and mechanical unpredictability, there emerged the now legendary 1982 AD small date copper cent, a coin so rare that only one confirmed example has ever been authenticated. A coin that was long believed impossible, a coin that in many ways shouldn't even exist, and yet it does, defying the mint's own records, defying known production policies, and defying all expectations by proving that mistakes can slip through even the strictest systems when you have multiple metals, multiple date styles, and high-speed production colliding at the same moment in history. And that single confirmed 1982 AD small date copper cent sent shockwaves through the collecting world, causing collectors to search every corner of drawers, jars, boxes, and old bank rolls, hoping to uncover another impossible survivor, because if one exists, many argue there could be more, just hidden somewhere, unrecognized, overlooked, or sitting unnoticed in someone's spare change pile. And this mere possibility is one of the reasons why stories of valuations reaching tens of millions of dollars have circulated, because a one-of-a-kind numismatic error connected to a major transition year, with mint documentation contradicting its existence, creates the perfect storm of rarity, intrigue, and astronomical value speculation. But the conversation doesn't stop at the small date copper variant, because 1982 also introduced multiple varieties that collectors examine obsessively: large date copper, large date zinc, small date zinc, and both Denver and Philadelphia versions, meaning the 1982 series contains more variations than almost any other modern penny year. And when you throw in the potential for planchet errors, off-metal strikes, double dies, broad strikes, machine doubling, weak strikes, die deterioration doubling, and even improperly annealed planchets, the value possibilities expand even more, because every error adds another layer of mystery to how these coins were handled during one of the most turbulent minting periods in modern history. And many of these errors, while minor on their own, become major points of value when found on a transitional year coin like the 1982 D, especially those struck on the wrong metal, since the overlap of copper and zinc planchets created an environment where workers were constantly shifting between batches, and a single moment of confusion in which a stray copper planchet from early year production accidentally ended up being struck late in the year, or a miscounted bin of leftover copper planchets slipped into circulation, could create a multi-million-dollar rarity. And as collectors study these coins today, they often begin with weight tests, because the copper versions weigh about 3.11 grams while the zinc versions weigh about 2.5 grams, and the discovery of a copper strike in a situation where only zinc should exist becomes the beginning of a numismatic adventure that could lead to a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But the story becomes even more thrilling when we consider the theories behind how such coins may have escaped the mint, with some experts proposing that leftover copper planchets were mixed into zinc batches, others arguing that Denver may have been using older stock while new materials arrived, and some suggesting that factory floor bins could have contained mixed metals that went unnoticed during the hectic transition period. And even more fantastical theories suggest the possibility of mint employees pocketing mistakes intentionally or unintentionally, allowing rare transitional errors to slip into circulation, though none of these theories can be proven. And that uncertainty only intensifies the mystery and intrigue surrounding the 1982 D penny, making it a coin that lives in both the world of documented history and the world of rumor, speculation, and myth. And when you combine the rarity of confirmed specimens with the excitement of the unknown, you're left with a coin that collectors dream of finding, a coin that symbolizes the perfect storm of transition, error, and anomaly. And that dream fuels the massive valuations, because in the world of rare coins, the combination of impossible rarity, massive collector interest, historical importance, and the thrill of a story that defies logic can create price tags that feel almost unreal, yet make perfect sense when you understand the passionate nature of numismatics. And the 1982 D1 cent sits in that special zone where factual rarity meets speculative obsession, where a single discovery can rewrite what collectors thought they knew, and where the potential for additional undiscovered examples remains a powerful force driving high valuations, because even though only one confirmed specimen of the rare transitional era has surfaced, the possibility that more exist, hidden away, lost, or unrecognized, has created a market where hope and rarity collide, and that collision has fueled stories of values reaching as high as $31 million for the perfect, flawless example of this extraordinarily rare transitional era coin, especially if it includes other mistakes such as double dies, wrong planchette strikes, die alignment issues, missing plating, or any of the countless micro-errors that can magnify a rare coin's value exponentially. And what makes all of this even more exciting is that ordinary people, not just professional collectors, have a real chance of discovering one, because these coins circulated in the wild, meaning anyone with a handful of pennies from an old jar could unknowingly be holding a multi-million-dollar treasure, which fuels the excitement, the curiosity, and the global fascination with this particular coin, because unlike rare coins that were never released to the public, transitional errors like the 1982 D copper small date slipped into circulation, meaning the next big discovery could happen anywhere, in any country, in any home, in any dusty basement, and that makes the legend grow even stronger, pushing interest higher and values even higher. Because rarity mixed with possibility creates a perfect environment for extraordinary valuations, and as collectors continue searching, studying, weighing, and examining their coins, the legend of the 1982 D penny continues to evolve, gaining more speculation, more excitement, and more attention each year. And this long story, filled with mistakes, mysteries, transitional chaos, incomplete records, minting anomalies, and the electrifying possibility of undiscovered treasures, is exactly why the 1982 D1 cent has earned its place as one of the most astonishing and sought-after coins in modern US minting history, carrying not just a small face value, but a massive symbolic and potential financial value connected to its complex past. And as we wrap up this deep exploration into the extraordinary world of the 1982 D1 cent and its rumored $31 million worth